especially with all the damage he's done. Enough Goliaths now on the ground. Of course, Flash has no tanks. He has almost no forces, nothing but a Vulture and Goliaths. Meanwhile, the starport has been floated away by Leta. So he's just going to bind to that position, put it in a much more safer location. Leta now, both players I believe have their naturals established, but Flash is taking so much damage. It's not even funny. Leta now getting a second machine shop on his second to see whether he tries to get some upgrades, whether he gets some mines of his own or speed, or whether he just goes for tank upgrades. 2 factories also, as well as an armory up for Flash meanwhile, and he just doesn't have the mining though to get really any troops down on the ground yet. He's just trying to get as much mining as he can, trying to reestablish his bases, but overall you see this very, very small amount of SCVs he has. And unfortunately that doesn't have an academy, doesn't have any scans up, so he can't see those mines there. He's just being careful. Using Vultures instead, that's fairly smart because Vultures do anything, but oh, actually Flash's Vultures, never mind, what the heck am I talking about? Some Vultures down in the field for Flash, and now Leta's just trying to micro his tanks. Make sure that nothing happens to him. He could move out with those tanks, although with those Vultures everywhere and no scans for him. One mine goes off and a Marine doesn't kill it. Wow. Marine? Marine runs away. Ah, I eat mines for breakfast. That was the sound of his belly exploding. So yeah, now another Wraith harassment coming in from Leta. Managed to take out an SCV because he gets pushed away. But overall, it's just doing this very smartly, just preventing. He's of course making Flash use up scans, which Flash really doesn't want. Now another Goliath in that position, and is going to run away, but a scan does go off, and just Leta doing a good job, just preventing scans. He's going to of course take some Flash. Now he's going to be able to run right back in here, not going to have any scans Flash, and he's going to be able to do some damage while microing that Wraith around. Wraith runs out of cloak energy, and runs to mommy. Leta is the mommy. Leta, no kidding, up more factories, and finally, well, Flash, I think at this point, finally has some SCV saturation, so he should be able to get some forces of his own, but he has so little. He has several Vultures, which is what is preventing Leta from moving out, because he has nothing to spot those mines for him. And there are 3 tanks, a few Vultures and Goliaths out for Flash. Flash is that over Leta, but Leta has, of course, those Wraiths, and if he manages to use those Wraiths well, he should be able to pick off several tanks. You just can't. Yeah, that's it. I just heard the music. Wow, it's so beautiful. Sometimes you think you hear the music coming from somewhere around you, and you think, what the heck, are my parents watching StarCraft in the living room? And that, of course, is an impossibility. So, we're just moving around, trying to maneuver his tank. There is a fairly open middle, so we could see a huge tank engagement there overall. I'm going to see a fight for expansion, I think, fairly soon. I'm going to see which player decides to expand. Flash planning down. Oh, used the Vultures to kill an SCV, which I believe was trying to set up an expansion. Oh, I think Leta should soon push. Flash does have a pretty decent position. He has those 3 tanks there. Leta, meanwhile, moving around with Vultures, trying to prevent any sort of push. But now, huge mass of Vultures now out for Leta. He has those speed upgrades on him. They're going to be able to run circles around anything else. Just kill those Vultures of Flash. He should have mines too. Those tanks also moving out for Leta is going to be able to do. Possibly going to think of putting down a siege position. He's going to need some barracks. These guys, those Vultures running around, going to see what they manage to do some harass. Yeah, and he has his own tanks moving in from the back. They're going to get sieged. And there's not going to be a sieging game in here. Now Vultures running in, blocking some tank fire, just distracting, planting mines. Perfect positioning. Those mines are going to do some damage. Yes, ma'am. Mine's going off. Oh, he loses most of his Vultures. Unfortunately, manages to plant another mine, which takes out its own Vulture. Or actually, no, that was a tank explosion, which took out the tank and the Vulture. The mine became insignificant, sadly. Boo-hoo-hoo. I believe now a dropship, yes, now coming out for Leta, so he's actually thinking of dropping. I think he could take this time to expand, because he is putting out the pressure on Flash. For Flash's sake, there's no contain on him, so that's what Flash is going for him. Leta does not have a contain or surround on him, and that's, I think, what Flash should be taken advantage of, possibly thinking of doing. He has to do some economic damage to Leta at this point, and he definitely has to prevent Leta from putting down any more expansions, because if Leta gets to have one more expansion, he's going to be able to do insane damage. And now this dropship's not going to get spotted by anything. There is a turret there in place to prevent that, but I still don't think it's going to spot Leta's harassment from coming through and doing some sort of damage. Turret spots that, but drop coming in, 4 Vultures. The dropship is going to sacrifice its life, but those 4 Vultures are going to be running around to do some serious damage. Vultures being pulled off the lines. SCVs being pulled off the line. Vultures just killing random SCVs everywhere. 1 Vulture now finally going down, but again, they're just planting mines in some places and just doing as much damage as they can. Prevent reinforcement, planting down those mines in front of those factories, which also going to, of course, prevent a lot of stuff. 1 Vulture still there in time, planting some mines, just delaying its life cycle. I want to live. I want to live. I don't want to die. Now finally mines going off and the Vulture also dying. So, but that harassment overall being fairly successful. Now Leta has taken his mineral only and also taken the 12 o'clock with gas base. So Leta is actually expanding very aggressively. Of course, feeling very confident in himself that he's done a very successful harass. Has a large army now on the ground. Scanning while going off at the 12 o'clock. So Flash knows it's there. He's probably going to send out some Vultures to prevent that from getting up. Maybe even just sending in a tank force. Has to be very careful not to get caught out of position. Now some Vultures going to spot that tank movement. He's probably going to think there is an expansion, counter expansion coming from Flash. He's going to take down the 6 o'clock to counter this. I'm not sure if Flash has mineral only though. There are, okay, Vulture moving around everywhere from Flash, just trying to spot it out. Leta. Oh man, that commands are not quite ready. Oh, that SCV is going to get killed. Bye-bye. So the 12 o'clock is going to be prevented. That's exactly what Flash needs to do, prevent these expansions from coming up and harass economy. That's what Flash has done this game, or rather hasn't done this game, and Leta has done this game, is massive economic harassment. That's why Leta has such a huge advantage. 3 dropships now out for him. He's going to go for full-on drops, and I think Flash is just slowly, you know, just being backed up into a corner, and soon the creatures of the night shall sink their fangs into him, and now I'm, you know, midget monster of madness. I'm sure he has fangs hidden around somewhere. I think Flash, the only thing he might have going for him is if he has upgrades. He has his own wraiths now out, so those are going to be able to do some harassment. Interesting enough that he gets those wraiths going for 1 star, but no cloak for those wraiths, though. He might be thinking of using those to stop drops from coming in. Oh, they're going to run in and just start attacking those sieged tanks. I don't see any Goliaths out for Leta, so that's sad for him. Not very good. He has his upgrades mill going up for army. He has an armory up, but he's going to definitely lose some tanks. He just doesn't have anything to prevent those wraiths. We're going to see whether he goes for something else. Instead, 1 tank has already been lost by Leta here, and now Flash moving out with his own tanks, then to set up a forward position. He's going to just try to whittle down these tank numbers of Leta's. Leta not, of course, being allowed. If he tries to build a turret, it's instantly going to get taken out. So he might actually think of building a bunch of turrets at the same time. Flash, meanwhile, now has established the 6 o'clock base, so he's going to have a 3rd gas going pretty soon. He's going to be able to get some ground forces now that the SCV is going to sit there and repair those tanks. Prevent those from coming through. Now a dropship coming in that has some Goliaths inside. Well, that dropship has very little health, so have to be very careful in that regard. Now, scans going off for some players. Some Flash trying to do some movement inside with his own tank and see if he can engages those lines. Meanwhile, tanks being lost there by Leta. Leta has fewer tanks actually. Now dropship moving in. There is a Goliath there. They're going to start by attacking that forward barracks, so not going to be any spawning from Flash there. Those 3 dropships could be used very effectively. Well, they have to be very careful because one of those dropships has an immensely low amount of health. I don't know why I didn't repair that, but what are you going to do? I am not a judge. Flash, Leta actually apparently think of taking out another base very close to Flash, so he's basically getting us around on Flash. He's actually going to start putting down bases close to Flash's so that he can get some sort of contain. Now has a base going up at the, inside 11 o'clock. I believe that's what it's called. It's 11:30. What do you want from me? I don't know. So I just don't really know what to say. Otherwise, I think Leta already has this match. Really, he has to fail astronomically. Like, you know, you can't even go 14 CC fail at this point. He has to do something very bad to lose here. Meanwhile, you know, Leta putting down turrets in positions to prevent any harassment from Flash, and Flash has not done any harassment at all. Just critically, that's exactly the problem. Science facility, meanwhile, being put down by Leta, so you might be now thinking of upgrading all the way up to battle cruisers, getting ready for the next tech level. He's definitely going to have enough bases going to get that ready, of course. Flash now has some wraiths. He's getting rid of some forward floating engineering base, pesky engineering base, daimyo, to make sure Leta doesn't get any spawned. But Flash is only 3 mining bases. Leta has 4 and getting up his 5th and 6th and 7th mining bases. And he has